Prissy didn't like the way things were going, but hung tenaciously to his resolve to get out of this situation as soon as possible. With seemingly the millionth curtsy of the day, he sweetly inquired, "Would you like something to drink, Miss Susie?" "But of course, dear. I'll have a Coke please," she replied with a wide smile that turned into a smirk. With a swish of skirts, Prissy turned and went back to the kitchen to fetch the drink. As he returned and served Susie, the doorbell rang again. "Oh, that must be the others," Susie explained. "I told some of the girls where I'd be. I hope you don't mind if they drop over too." "Not in the least. I've got my little maid to assist, and I'm sure it will be no problem at all, right Prissy?" replied Janet. Without any alternatives, Prissy agreed, and admitted 10 more girls, all of whom he knew from the neighborhood, and whom he had met the night before at the prom. The throng exploded with laughter as they viewed Prissy, who greeted each in due course with a curtsy, took their wraps, and admitted them into the large living room to join the others. Janet and Susie noted the frazzled look on Prissy's face as he tried to perform his maidenly tasks and serve such a large group. It seemed he spent more time gracefully curtsying to all of the girls, following Janet's instructions to the letter, than anything else. And the girls just loved seeing him do it too. With the additional duties, Prissy forgot entirely about checking his appearance. Within the hour, a small run appeared at the base of each leg, just where Catherine had carefully cut a strand from the stockings while Prissy had been blindfolded and dressed. The wiggle in Prissy's walk, and the constant pressure from curtsying, exacerbated the runs, and within a few minutes they had crawled up the back of each leg to the top of his stockings, protruding from beneath his frilled, starched petticoats. Once refreshments had been served to each guest, Susie, whom Prissy still thought was unaware of his true identity, called the problem to Prissy's attention. "Oh my, Prissy, dear. You've got a run in each of your lovely stockings," she exclaimed, in mock concern. Prissy froze and turned his head to look down at his legs. His face fell as he saw the long runners going up the full length of each stocking. Janet joined in the fun as all of the girls crowded about to see Prissy's legs. "My goodness. They must be the longest runs I've ever seen." She pulled a tape measure from her pocket and declared both runs to be 30 inches long. Janet stood back up and smilingly stared straight into the sissified boy's horrified face. "But you can't," he screamed in his boy's voice, stamping his foot. "I won't do it," he wailed. Susie stepped back in artificial surprise. "Why, you're not a girl at all. You're a boy," she shrieked. Prissy tried to run from the room, but he was easily outmatched by the large group of girls, and after a brief struggle, found himself standing in the center of a circle of snickering teenage girls. Janet stepped forward and announced to the gathering, "Ladies, may I present Mr. Macho Man himself, none other than Perry, the great debater." Prissy buried his hands in his face and wept openly as his true identity was apparently revealed for the first time to the assembled girls. Their taunts and jeers were unbearable as he stood before them, his eyes closed to keep their triumphant faces from view, but unable to avoid hearing their deriding comments. Things eventually quieted down some, and Prissy's sobbing slowed. Of course, his lipstick had been smeared by his hands, and another day was thus added to his girlish purgatory. Sally produced fresh stockings, and Prissy was required to lift his petticoats, undo his stockings, and replace them before the girls. He found the unfamiliar task was made even more difficult by his long nails. Prissy was in the midst of serving another round of drinks when the doorbell rang yet another time. Janet offered to get it, since Prissy was busy being a good little sissy maid. Prissy finished curtsying to the guests after serving the sodas, and turned to see his mother and older sister, Patty, standing with Janet. "Mom. Get me out of here," he shouted, again reverting to his male personality. He was shocked to hear her reply. "And why should I, Prissy? Don't you like being a girl?" she teased, while Patty screeched in laughter at her brother's appearance as a sissy maid. "I think you've amply demonstrated this weekend just what a stupid duper male can be. First, you offend every woman by your wretched performance in that debate. Then, you allow yourself to be trapped like this. And you've plainly shown just how weak-willed you are by adopting the ways of a girl in just one weekend. Didn't I tell you it would be easy, Janet? Prissy couldn't believe his ears. His mother was behind the whole thing? It was unbelievable. That's right, sweetie, she continued. When I heard you practicing your debate this past week, I knew you badly needed an education about ladies and girls. But you're so thick you couldn't figure any of it out. Where do you think Janet got all of these clothes? Who do you think arranged to pay for your lovely prom dress? And did you think Susie showed up at the gown shop by coincidence, or might a little birdie have told her? You couldn't even tell that all of these girls knew who you were last night while you carried on like a sweet and lovely prom princess with your new boyfriend. And I'll bet you're too stupid to realize that your friends here put a cut in your hose earlier to cause those runs up your leg. Oh. By the way, I'm afraid you've got 2 more lovely sets on those stockings as well. I guess you need more practice in worrying about your stockings. But that's okay, because you're going to have plenty. By my count, you've got at least 121 days of practice ahead of you. And the headmistress of the girls' school will be only too happy to keep an eye out on your pretty legs while you spend those days in classes there. But I wouldn't worry about school too much. You might also want to think about how much time it will take you to earn enough money working as a maid to repay me for your new wardrobe. Prissy lost all hope as Janet and Susie dragged him upstairs to change. It seemed the girls wanted to see Prissy play with his dollies like a good little sissy while they watched a certain videotape.